Hi, I'm Alan White, CEO of Arriello.
Hi, and I'm Anna Lukyanova. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Arriello.
And today we're going to be talking about some of the issues in relation to setting up a project for a new client. Now Anna, we've been involved in a bunch of projects, haven't we, over the years,
yes.
that have been set up with different clients. And there are typically things, I think, that we come up against that perhaps we can give some advice about how to make sure they're successful. So, what are your thoughts about when setting a project up? What are the things that you think clients should be considering and vendors like us should be considering to make sure they're successful?
Yeah, great. No, that's a really great question, and actually quite a lot of companies ask us about it when we go into the bid defense with them. So I think one of the most critical elements in the project setup is a very structured kickoff meeting with all the responsible people to be presented at the meeting, both on the vendor side and also the client side. The clients also needs to make sure that they bring all the other stakeholders to the meeting, because we may not be aware of all the parties that are involved around a certain activity. And it's of course making sure that the go live dates are set up realistically, and all the IT infrastructure and also all the other processing departments around the projects are working in parallel.
Yeah, and do you think from experience, perhaps sponsors put enough emphasis on actually making sure that kick-off piece and all the things around that are really given enough time and effort to be done properly?
Well, see, sometimes when companies goes into the outsourcing activity, they may not realize what's involved there. And so we as the vendor or a company who's actually done it for a number of years already, we need to take the lead on this. We need to actually tell them and lead them and show them how things are done and actually teach them and consult them of all the elements they need to be thinking about.
Yeah, and I think that's something that perhaps is underestimated sometimes, isn't it? But
yes,
but you know,
yes.
as a vendor, as a consultant, we should be doing that. And I think, you know, I certainly think we've been doing a great job of that over the last number of years. But there's always room for improvement, right? So, so let's try and drill down into one aspect then that we talked about. So I don't know, for example, IT.
Right.
So when we're setting a project up, I think you can have the communication right, you can have all the other elements right, but if the systems aren't set up properly, that can cause a lot of backlog and issues further down the line. So what have you seen, and what would you sort of recommend or suggest might be things to at least minimise the chances of IT becoming a roadblock?
Yeah. So. Again, every project is different. However, on the majority of the projects, first of all, we get the IT equipment of the client. We get, let's say, the computers, the laptops, we get the phones, and we get the accesses to all the necessary systems, be it the safety database, the document management system, the training modules of the company. The companies, when we go into a company, we may not know all the millions of systems that they have around their infrastructure. However, then therefore we need to work with the IT department, and we also need to put the right SLAs in place to make sure that whenever we encounter a problem, that the ticket is raised to the proper department and there is a proper timeline to when the ticket is going to be answered and the issue is going to be solved.
Yeah, I think perhaps the other thing as well is again at the beginning is making sure you've got a go-to person or a go-to team, if you like, to make sure that, you know, if that's not working, we don't continue to allow it to not work.
Correct.
We can actually go above it and resolve it quickly. So and I think we've seen some projects where that's been more difficult to do. But from our experience, perhaps that's an area that we've managed to guide and lead clients over the last few years. Are there any other areas that perhaps you'd say, you know, are underestimated as to how important they are, even if they're small things or potentially small things, but actually they can cause bigger issues if they're not done properly at the beginning? So
another critical area I see, and this is the company sometimes overlooked, are the consolidation of the global and the local processes, for example.
Right.
So again, when the local activities from the local affiliates are outsourced, some of the local SOPs or work instructions are sort of made redundant just because they're not relevant anymore, because those activities are done by us, by Arriello or another service provider, let's say. So the companies also need to make sure that their quality department and the people who are responsible for quality assurance or document management systems actually know what's going on. So therefore they will allow for these things to be wind down and be made obsolete.
Yeah. And I think, you know, all of those things that we've been talking about for the last few minutes, all of them relate to communication,
yes,
don't they?
They do.
And I think, you know, one thing we try and make clear when we're talking to clients is that we can have the best plan in the world, but if we haven't got the right people in place with the time and space to make this happen, it will be more difficult, right? So I think communication and leading the communications are the most important piece.
No, I very much agree with you on this, and communication is always critical. I think there needs to be more communication rather than less.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to end communicating that today, and you know, I hope it was useful just to get a small insight from our perspective, some of the things that should be considered. We're definitely open to have, you know, much deeper conversations with you if you want to talk about how we can perhaps assist you in some of these areas. Yeah, we should do this more often, shouldn't we, Anna? Actually,
no,
yeah,
we should. Yeah. Thank you very much.
So, thanks for listening.